Hey, what's going on, guys and gals? Tyler Austin here. In this video, we're going to do some Q&A. Mason gathered a bunch of questions inside the comment section, inside our YouTube videos, and we're going to go ahead and get them answered for you guys so that we can have ultimate clarity and no confusion on why you guys can't succeed. So let's get to it. All right, so question number one, Evan, I don't know if that's gross or gross. I always just call you Evan. I never realized that before, but Evan, man, any idea how I can find a house for a 203K loan? For those that don't know, 203K loans are FHA loans, which is essentially a federal-based loan that allows you to put only like 3.5% down. And there's different versions of 203K loans. The best way, Evan, that I think that you should use a 203K loan is in a rehab project, because you can actually do a rehab 203K loan. I forget what it's called, but when you go to get your loan, you can say, hey, can I get a rehab one? And they're really nice because you can put 3.5% down, and plus it covers your rehab costs and it bakes it into the loan. So it's a really good tactic to use. For example, when you're buying a property that needs fixer-upped, you move into it, and then you sell it later, or you turn it into a rental, much like the video that we released not too long ago about how I live for free inside of my property. And that's a really good tactic to use. So how do you find them though? Well, just like everything else that I teach through, direct to seller, you just do direct to seller marketing, you find one, or you can go ahead and just, look on the MLS, find pre-foreclosures and stuff like that. And that's a perfectly good way too. So really easy. Just find the deal, make the offer, and press. Sam Kemp, what do you do with the money in the profits account? So Sam is talking about a video that we did on how to structure your finances. Really good video. It's how I structure both my personal finances and my business finances in order to make sure that I'm putting the most money in my pocket as humanly possible. And the profits account's used for a couple of different things. Number one thing is distribution. So you put money in the profits account, that's your company's profits. As the owner of that company, what happens is those profits get distributed to you or any other shareholders in the company. And that's how, like, if you invest into a real estate deal, or you invest into a company and you don't work in it day in and day out, whatever your shares are of that company, the profits get distributed, and that's how you actually get your return on your money. So it's the same thing with you. Inside your company, the difference is that some of those profits you might end up having to reinvest back into the company in order for it to grow, okay? So let's just say, for example, I'll use REISIF as an example because it's probably one of my most active companies right now. And so let's just say, for example, that we bring in, I'm just gonna use a fictitious number here, $50,000 a month in extra profits, right? That $50,000 might be whatever, $150,000 a quarter, or just extra profits. And we might decide, you know what, I think that we want to, try out this new model, right? Or maybe we want to rehab our office building or something like that. We might take away, for the next 3 months, we might take away 10% in net profits for that project in order to scale. Right? So something like that, okay? So that's what you do with your profits account. Moving on, Live Life Mastery asks, what about other fees at closing? Do you subtract that from your ARV? This is specifically in reference to the video that we did on deal analysis. When it comes to your closing costs, all of that comes off of ARV. So what ARV is after repair value or after renovation costs. When it comes to deal analysis, let's just use a single family residence as an example. We have a property under contract and it looks totally fine. It doesn't need like a full renovation. It's not like it's not financeable. There's two different comps that could come from that. There is the as is comps. So there's the comps that are literally comparable right now. And then there's the comps that you could look at where they did a remodel on it. So they're selling for more, but you would have to rehab the property to get it to that one's value. So when you're looking at this and we talk about ARV, I just wanted to mention that sometimes it's not like ARV, it's just like as is value. So I kind of cover that inside that deal analysis video, but no matter whether it's as is value or it's ARV, whatever it is that you're comping from, it's always whatever the price that you're selling that property for minus the cost of your closing costs at the title company and the agents and any other fees minus your repair costs, then your profits, right? So whether that's, for your flipper or that's you wholesaling it and then also the flipper's profits, you just deduct that all down to figure out what that base price is you need to buy the property for in order to cover your expenses for the rehab, make the money you want to make or the flipper wants to make, or maybe you're both of those, as well as cover those closing costs that are needed on the backside. The one caveat to closing costs that I will say that some people mess up in their head is if someone's getting a loan on a property, they have some closing costs that are associated with that loan. And a lot of people, they base closing costs because maybe you've bought a property before and you're like, man, I had to pay like a lot more than 7% in closing costs. Well, that's probably because you had to pay your closing fees from your bank, right? And the bank might have doc fees and all this other stuff that you have to pay. But specifically when we talk about closing costs, we're talking about the closing costs that the title company is charging. So that's the things that the state requires, that's the insurance on the closing itself and stuff like that. So typically it's between about 2% for title fees and anywhere from 3% up to 6% for your real estate agents. But you could do a flat rate listing for $150, list it on Rentometer, but Realtor.com or whatever, and then you could pay the 2%. So you could pay as low as 3% in closing costs realistically, but anything under $250,000, you can expect to pay the buyer's side of closing as well as your side of closing. Anyway, I think that's enough on that question. If you have anything more, just comment below and I'll go into more detail, or we can make another video on it. Brandon Lopez. So it's a lead manager's job to analyze the deal and make an offer, or does the lead manager just pass it over to an acquisitions? I actually answered this question in great detail in our bi-weekly masterminds that we do, bi-weekly on Tuesdays at 5 o'clock. If you're an REI SIF user, just look in your SIF dojo and go to the events calendar and you can see that. Otherwise, you guys might receive emails. If you've ever downloaded anything from us before, you'll receive emails on when that mastermind is. But basically, a lead manager's job is to be the gatekeeper, right? It's to manage all the current leads that you have and build the company rapport. Because there's two types of rapport in your company. There's the personal rapport, like the person who's communicating and negotiating a deal, but then there's the whole rapport of the company. And a lot of times that's associated with brand. It's, are you trusted as a company versus are you trusted as an individual, okay? Because a good example of this is I could be talking to you right now and I could be trustworthy, I can have a really good conversation, and then someone could look at reviews and they could have some negative reviews against the company name, and that hurts the company brand. So the lead manager, what they're doing is they're following up with all those leads and building that company rapport. Sometimes it's just calling them to see how their day went, depending on the motivation of the lead. They're also calling out to, like, if you have any inbounds, like direct mails coming in, they're calling out and encasing those. And once they get someone who's interested in receiving either another offer or a brand new offer or whatever, they're gonna, basically take that information, they're gonna pass it over to an acquisitions individual, and that acquisitions person is going to make that offer. So the lead manager is essentially passing their credibility over to this acquisitions individual. So it sounds something like this. Okay, Stacy, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and get us over to Jonathan. He's actually one of our offer specialists, or whatever you call your acquisitions. And he's gonna be the one to present you the options. So let me just go ahead and call over to him real quick, and then I'll bring you in the conversation just so that we can make sure that everything's understood. So then you would call over, and we use air call for this. We transfer that call over to an acquisitions person. And before we bring in that seller, the acquisitions person and the lead manager talk to each other. Hey, Jonathan. This is kind of weird. I'm confused on who's the lead manager and who's acquisitions. Hey, Jonathan, I got Stacy on the phone, or whatever her name was. This is the situation. This is what's going on. She's interested in this. Okay, great. Then I'll go ahead and I'll get some 3 offers available. They bring in, I need another hand. Bring in, Stacy. Hey, Stacy. I fuck the hands thing. Hey Stacy, this is Jonathan. I told him about your situation. He's gonna help you out. Boom, lead manager leaves. Jonathan talks to Stacy. Hey Stacy, thanks so much. I appreciate you taking the time. Let me just make sure I have a few questions for you to, make sure I can present the best offers possible. Acquisition then does their job, makes the offer, and if they don't accept the offer, they kicks back the lead manager to continue following up until they're ready to present another offer. And you could literally potentially be presenting the same offer every single time because it might not change. But as many times as the lead manager talks to the person and they're interested in receiving an offer, they're gonna get an offer. Because sooner or later, they're gonna accept it, right? Sooner or later, the negotiation is gonna break down into something that's credible, okay? Jonathan Farber, I can always fuck up your name, bro. He asks, do you keep all your business and personal accounts in the same bank? For me, the answer to that's no. My personal banking is all through USAA. I've been with them since I was 17 years old. So it's like a military banking thing. So I don't know, I'll probably never leave USAA for my personal banking just because I have a relationship with them and all that other stuff. My car insurance through them, all that good stuff. But all my business banking's through the same bank account. Now, there is some overlap there because I do like having a bank account in person. I do have a personal banking account at my business account so that I can take my distributions for my businesses and I put them all inside of that bank account, and then I do a wire once a month from my personal account inside that bank to my USAA account. But all my salary and all that other stuff, we use Gusto for HR. And all of my salary and all that kind of automated stuff comes right from, the business account right to my personal account. But any distributions, like I was talking about earlier with the profits account, that gets wired over, or I write a check to myself or whatever from that personal checking to my other personal checking. Brightside Homes said, you mentioned something about your personal safe on your P&L. Can you elaborate on what you mean by that? Yeah, so this is really important. I think a lot of people, they look to build a business to make money. And I'm the total opposite. I don't look to build a business to necessarily make money. I look to build a business to create wealth. And so everything that I do is from the mindset of like a holistic approach. It's about securing the family. It's about securing the household. It's about building, that structure, the wealth, the things that are going to make sure that as we continue to get older, we're creating more time, freedom, and impact, not only in our lives, but the people around us. And so a big part of that is if I'm going to invest a large sum of money into like investments to bring money back in, then I sure as damn well better invest money into my actual household and the things that are gonna protect the things that I truly care about. Because money only goes so far, right? So that includes me, from my personal beliefs, that includes me having the ability to protect my home in case there's an intruder. So that would be my weapons. It would be if something happens and bank system goes down, the fact that my family is still gonna be able to survive and I have cash on hand. It would be the ability to have the assets to barter. In fact, you can go as far as making sure you have the ability to have like an RV that's ready to go in case something happens and you need to leave the area, such as a hurricane or something like that, having your prepared food, all of these different types of things that a lot of people really forget about. Something that I really love that a buddy of mine, Trevor, over at Carrot did that I adopted into my life when I seen he did it was actually having a book, kind of like we have for our Airbnbs, where you walk inside and there's like the booklet that shows like, okay, this is like how you do this, how you do that. Having that same booklet for our actual house. So like if something happens with the AC and I'm not home, there's like an SOP with like, okay, here's the people that we use, if it's this situation, then it could be this, so that if I'm not home, my wife can take care of those things. The things that we have on auto order from Amazon, really the efficiency and the operations of your actual household in that booklet, which is a really, really good way to streamline, and make sure that if something did happen to me as a man, my family still has like, they're not like lost in chaos. So little things like that. So the safe and my guns and all the things that I invest into my household, my cameras, any security systems in general, things like that, they all on my profit and loss statement for me as Tyler. On that profit and loss statement, there's a line item in there underneath of investments. There's a line item for like, properties and real estate and all that stuff. And then there's an additional one for household investments. So I don't look at, my cameras as an expense. My cameras are an investment because it's a security thing. It's something that's going to protect my family. And I can't think of a better investment than something that's going to be, for my family. So that was the last question that we have on here. If you guys have any additional questions, put it in the comments below, and we'll continue to do this at least once a month or so and gather these questions and do a Q&A. That way I can go in a little bit more detail than I could typing it out. and it helps everybody else out that might be, watching this. There's some questions that some other people might have said that they might not have seen. And it also gives us maybe an ability to have this thread where you guys can ask additional questions about just life and business. And I can go ahead and come on here just like this and answer those. Just remember our pillars right here for Allies, the Allies brand, the Allies model is to improve health, increase wealth, freedom, and focus, okay? Like those 4 pillars are literally what I live my life off of. Just ask questions around any of those topics. It doesn't have to just be about real estate. If you care about my opinion and anything else, whether it be how cool my sweaters are, I'll be down to answer questions like that too. So, all right, y'all, peace out. Thank you so much, and hopefully you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you guys in the next one. Peace.